All right, we're going to get here with Justin in just a few minutes. But until then, everybody, hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. We're going to be live a bunch of times today, all throughout the day. So get ready for that. I'm looking over here to my screens. So we're getting all these things set up. And it's very exciting always. You guys ever heard of the marshmallow challenge? Have you ever done that? It's you get a bunch of spaghetti and tape and marshmallows, and you try to put all those things together. Anyway, well, okay, we're gonna get to Justin here. Otherwise, let's get right to the show. It's even more exciting this way. All right, now directly to the show.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Showing up here, for the community. You know, it's all about community. We got the queen of community here, Christelle. How you doing? Good to see you. We got Andy, my awesome co-host. Andy, good to see you. We got Danielle. Good to see you. We got Endless Summer TVD. TVD, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. We got the 4050 business profile. I love that, Andy. That's a new profile. Or maybe I'm just seeing it now.
No, it's a alt account that I have for that particular brand, and I'm using that to broadcast the show today.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. And our numbers are increasing thanks to Andy. So thank you so much, Andy. And we got Jason Barrett here of Grow with X, and also Justin. So two Justins are better than one. So shout out to the Job Father, the one of the best brands on X right here. Okay, this is it right here, the Job Father. So thank you guys for being here. We're going to be getting into, this is another Startup Circle space. I was listening earlier to Will's space on procrastination on the way in here, which was awesome. And yeah, as kind of Timo and Will and the rest of the people said, you know, there's no shortcut to success, right? There's no shortcut. I mean, we all want that, you know, success, but it takes time. You know, it takes a lot of time. But marketing automation can help streamline the process a bit. It can definitely help out for sure. So, and shout out to Avni. I can listen to Avni and Will and Michelle like host a space for hours. Like I can literally just listen to the replay and just really enjoy myself because they're easy to listen to. Let me tell you, Avni, Michelle, and Will, like I, I just love listening to them, you know? So shout out to you, Avni. Thanks for being here. Let me get Kevin up here. But yeah, Andy, how are you doing today?
Hit unmute. There we go. I've got all kinds of things going on. You ever heard Gary V? You know, the what is it? Left, 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 right hook, or give, 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 and then ask. Uh, well, I started asking last week, and since March, okay, so since March, I have been personally asked to co-host 10 separate spaces. I had to tell him no because I'm already booked for 25 hours a week on co-hosting or hosting duties. So I couldn't say yes to all of them. And they're all wonderful, amazing people. And I feel bad that I had to say no, but that's good that I said no. And then the second crazy thing is, um, like today, I'm literally booked on spaces till 10 o'clock and then at 1 o'clock, and then I'm booked on another podcast that I'm doing later in the day. So, and I didn't initiate any of this. I was asked. So if you want to know if you're on the right track, it's when people ask you to engage the stuff you're doing. If you have to ask people, this is such a dumb example, but it's so true. I did not start my career to be a project manager, or program manager, scrum master, or be in any organizational or any management at all. I went into technology so I didn't have to deal with office politics ever again. Swear to God. And what happened was I was asked, hey, you know, you can do this thing. Can you do that? And then I was asked and asked and asked. to be included in all of these other roles. And you will be too. When you find those things that you provide value in, uh, they'll keep asking you. After this, I'm going to be on with the Unfiltered Founders, and the questions are going to be like, "How did you do this? What happened? How did it go?" And my answer is going to be, "I tried to get a full time job for 15 years, and nobody would hire me as a full time job, but they would hire me as a consultant. So after 15 years of trying, I just decided, you know what? I'm a consultant, and that's what I do, and I provide work and help for everybody else, and that's just the way it is." So uh, I'm encouraging you to find your area where you provide value. I'm encouraging you to find the space that people ask you about, that people include you, that people uh, pull you in and say, "Please help us in this one little space." And that's when you know you're hitting the right kind of thing, when your message is hitting the right audience and they're responding and they're asking. That's where it's at. That's when you know your testing is worked.
Yeah, congratulations, Andy. That's the sweet spot, right? That's the sweet spot. So, and there's definitely a big, and I don't know what's going on with the space. I tried to invite Kevin to co-host, but it's saying we already have two co-hosts, so invited. So I don't know what's going on here, but I don't know. Maybe Andy, you can invite Kevin, but yeah, trying to get you up here as co-host, Kevin. So, um, but when you go from employee to consultant, like that's a big jump, right? That's a big jump. So um, the fact that you others recognize that in you, and you recognize that in yourself, is that momentum that you really need. At the end of the day, look, you're just solving problems, right? You're just solving problems, and you just gain more experience with the more problems you solve and the more clients and contracts that you get, right? That's really the only difference at scale. And we like to say that's I like to call that execution intelligence, wisdom, fill in the blank, right? But the more clients you can consult over your years, the more wisdom and execution intelligence you'll gain. And this is great information that companies will pay a lot of money for, right? Companies pay a lot of money for that, and you don't need very many, right? You get a couple, big clients that really value your expertise. They'll pay you. They'll make the budget for you, right? So just always be on the lookout for those, high ticket, call it high ticket. I always say you want your high ticket, your mid ticket, and your low ticket, right? So no matter where people are at in the journey, you can always put them into a bucket of revenue for your business, depending on their budget and their needs. So, but yeah, I mean, I think back to my IT business when one of my biggest clients was a local oral surgeon, and how I got them was from a direct mail piece. Believe it or not, direct mail. It used to work. It still works. Listen, anything works at the end of the day if you work it enough, right? So if you wanted to really go direct mail, right? You're like, I want to do direct mail. Awesome. If you execute that, right, and you give it a little bit of time, it'll work for you, right? Anything will work for you. You just have to execute it and give it a little bit of time, right? So whatever you want to focus on. Now, there are certain things that work better than others, yes, but anything at the end of the day will work if you work it enough, right? Just like direct mail, just like cold calling, just like cold DMs, right? They all work, right? It's just a numbers game. And how much patience do you want to give it to really work for your business? So, but yeah, Danielle, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Happy hump day to everybody. I was listening to Andy's busy schedule and I was thinking, how cool is that, right? And it was reminding me that, when we lead with value, we're shifting the energy. And as he was speaking about, what was going on, I said, look at that. We go from solicitation to invitation. And there's so much truth to that. And it's And it's so validating, right? We need reminders that we have a lot of credibility. We know it in our soul, but when those things start to turn, it really, really happens. I I'm excited. I got an invitation to have an article done about me in Forbes magazine. And so now the interview is next week. And so it will land the first week of May, which is just 1 week after the book launch. And so those are the things, right, that set things in motion. And yeah, I'm just glad to be on here and see all these happy souls. Uh, thanks.
That's
Wow, big
awesome.
news.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Yeah, that's big, Danielle. Congratulations. Yes, yes. And how did that come about? I'm just curious. Like, did they find you on X, or how did that transpire, if you don't mind sharing?
It's relationship building, right? So the team that ended up being put in place for, the book, again, all just having random conversations with friends. I mean, that's literally how it happens. And one person learns, and then the other one's like, hey, I write articles. I love what you're doing. I want to highlight you. And I'm like, what? WTF? What? Am I that interesting? And you know what? And then you find out that you actually are, that you have a spot in the world. And that's where I think comparison just falls away. You're like, I'm not comparing myself to the superstars. We are all worthy and we are all getting there. And, I suspect that that will put into motion a lot of things. The conversation's already happening and the invitation's already coming for me to do presentations in different pockets of California and even nationally. So, let's go 2025.
Let's go, Danielle. I love it. I love it. Congratulations. And yeah, we're all worthy of big breakthroughs, right? We're all worthy of that. And again, I always say we're one relationship away, one phone call away, one text away, one DM away, one post away, one friendship away from our life potentially changing. And, you know, it's just continuously stacking, right? Stacking those wins, right? And some wins are bigger than others, right? But you just keep stacking those wins, because why? Because majority of it is losses. Okay, majority of campaigns fail. Majority of things are going to be not the outcome we're looking for. But at the end of the day, that's why we celebrate wins, right? We celebrate wins. We keep stacking and building on those wins. So, yeah, good stuff, Danielle. Thanks for sharing. Glad to have you aboard. And Timo, there's no shortcut to success. Okay, Timo, there's no shortcut to success. You said it on the earlier space, so I'm crediting you. So us graybeards, you still have to put in the work, just like those young guys. So good to see you here, Timo. But yeah, guys, so we're continuing yesterday's conversation. If you missed yesterday's space, definitely watch it. And please like and repost the space, guys. We'd really appreciate it. But yesterday we talked marketing automation, and we're continuing that conversation. Because why? Because it's a big topic. And I didn't share my hot take. I want to share it right now, okay? After working with hundreds of companies, up to 1,000 if you add my IT business, what I see a pattern with companies is that they typically invest in software like marketing automation, like fill in the blank, but they buy this Ferrari and they only know how to drive it in first gear, right? They buy this shiny new object, right? They buy HubSpot, or they buy Salesforce, or they buy Go High Level, or they buy fill in the blank, right? And they only know how to drive it in first gear. And so the reality is, I'm all about maximizing the impact and maximizing the expense of a tool that you invest in, and really gaining full utilization of that tool, right? One of the first things I look at when I consult clients is I look at their MarTech stack, which stands for marketing technology. So I do an analysis of, okay, what software do you guys currently have in place? And what can we cut out that we don't need or you're not fully utilizing? Or even more so is, which tools are doing, why do you have two tools when you only need one? It does the same thing, right? There's a lot of overlap, right? There's a lot of overlap. So that's step one, is just really analyzing and assessing, hey, what is your current MarTech stack? What does that look like? And what software are you using? And because here's the thing, you can save the client money right off the bat. Before they've even paid you, before you even help them bring in more revenue, right? You're already saving them money, right? So the ethos that you want to have always is, how can I save them money and how can I make them more money or increase their productivity and save them time, right? These are business fundamentals. And you can do that by doing that initial assessment. And so once I identify that, hey, you don't have the right subject matter expert for HubSpot, or you don't have the right subject matter expert for Salesforce or Beehive or make.com or fill in the blank, right? You need to make sure you have the right subject matter expert for the tool. Like, I mean, they got to know it like 10 out of 10. And here's a pro tip for everyone. I always ask, one of the first questions I ask people when I'm consulting them is I say, hey, I noticed you guys use HubSpot. That's awesome. What is your level of proficiency on a scale of 0 to 10? How proficient are you on HubSpot? It's one of the first questions I ask. Because why? Because you could find a gap in skill sets. And this is going to be a big deal, right? If somebody does not have the skill set, if they're not a 10 out of 10 on HubSpot and they work in your business and you have HubSpot, that's going to be a challenge. Okay, that's going to be a challenge. So the pro tip for everyone, again, is what tool in the MarTech stack can you do away with if possible to consolidate? And then number 2, who is the right subject matter expert for the tool? And are they a 10 out of 10 on the tool? Right? This is absolutely critical. And once you nail this down, then that'll really set you up for success on, and usually it's people, process, or systems. It always comes down to one of those 3 things: people, process, or systems. And the last thing I'll say here, and then I want to get to some hands, is once you start saving them money right off the bat, they're like, they fall in love with you. They're like, oh wow, okay, I see Justin's approach. You know, he wants to save me money. He wants to make me more money with my marketing and sales. That's amazing, right? So already you've gained trust. So one of the first things you do as a freelancer, as a consultant, is you identify the gaps in their MarTech stack, the gaps in the team skill sets, and then you start, improving from there, developing the plan of action and how you're going to help them grow their business. Like, that's essentially it. But make sure that people don't invest and buy a Ferrari and only drive it in first gear, because this happens a lot. Or that person leaves, right? Let's say a key person on the team, right? The HubSpot expert on the team leaves, okay? Now you can have one of the team members call HubSpot, but here's the thing. HubSpot, the support people, they're great. They're really good. I've called them literally in the last 2 weeks. I probably called them 30 times on stuff that I'm working with in my corporate. But they're really good. But guess what? They don't know our business, right? They don't know our business. They know HubSpot. They know HubSpot like the back of their hand, but they don't know our business. So you, as a pro tip, if you're working with somebody who's an expert in the tool, you need to give them that context of your business, right? They need to have that intelligence, because that will make the conversation that much more better and more beneficial for you and your business, right? Absolutely critical. This is why I'm becoming the subject matter expert in my corporate gig on HubSpot, right? Because we don't have anyone else, right? We had 2 people leave, so now I'm the subject matter expert on HubSpot. So again, the takeaway is analyze the MarTech stack of your prospect, see where there's gaps, see where you can save some money on existing tech, and then come up with a people, process, systems of how you're going to solve their stuff. So yeah, let's check in with Andy, and then let's pass it to Timo and then AI John.
Let's go to Timo. I'll be right back.
Hey, hey. I'm kind of in a windy spot, but hopefully you can hear something. Great. So, yeah, another day, another dollar, another just in space. What can you say? And I don't know. Were you in Will space? That's where you're referring to the no shortcuts. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't see you there. I was kind of not watching what's happening on the screen. Yeah, no shortcuts is definitely a thing, and so many people want it too. But Tolkien said once in one of his Lord of the Rings books, there's a quote on the shortcut usually leads to a longer route or something like that. But anyways, uh, great day. I'm kind of taking. I have this problem that Justin is. If something Justin is jealous about something, it's problems that I have, which is too many vacation days. So I had to suddenly burn out a lot of the vacation days. We do have to use the vacation days of each year before the end of April, and I still had 7 days that I hadn't used, so now I'm pretty much rest of the April I'm not working. But yeah, just a great topic to continue from. I'd love to hear if Daniel dabbled into the automation tools that we were talking about or not. But yeah, automate your world. That's the theme. Great space yesterday with Andy and AI John too. Amazing conversations. So it's booming today here in the startup circle. First we had a great space with Will. Now this. And then we're gonna have a crystal space later in 2 hours, and then to finish it off with the Andy and AI John show. So everyone should be joining the spaces today. It's Moped Boys. It's springtime. Mopeds are out. Sorry about that. Yeah, kind of building the first 20 articles into a book. Uh, it turned out to be over 100 pages that I've written during the first 20 days. I put them all on MS Word. So now I need to do some editing. Have to write or finish up the articles. And yeah, before Summer picks up the mic and screams at me, I will put her and Danielle's links and whomever I didn't put up on the Startup Circle website. So those are coming up later today. I promise you that. So Daniel, if you still want to, I think I didn't get those links directly from you, but I can look for them. But yeah, let's go and continue with the other speakers.
Yeah, thanks, Timo. Good. I was listening to the replay from the previous space, so that's how I was able to hear. So, but yeah, good stuff. Congrats on the book. And yeah, let's check in with AI John. AI John, how you doing?
Good morning, Jason. How are you doing? It's good to be here. I took a little bit, had a bunch of other work and stuff, so I wasn't here on a regular basis for a little bit. But yeah, there's expertise is super important, and having that experience. You might have a new tool that you have to learn, but you still have some experience within either the business or the subject matter. Helps a lot. And you know, the tools are the tools. Like, there's a lot of discussion about AI and what it can do, and it can definitely do a lot, and it can be really helpful, but it's still dependent on your knowledge. It can't make stuff up out of thin air if you don't know certain things. It's not you're not going to give it the right prompt or the right query. And so, you know, I think being curious and always wanting to learn are two things that will keep you current in all things. And having that curiosity, that's the one thing. Like anybody who does marketing, I know that Jason's in there, and also I would imagine programming or any of those things where we're constantly in a state of change. You got to like that, and you got to enjoy that's part of the whole thing. And mind puzzles are fun, and trying to figure out where things are going to go based on what you know now. I mean, there's a lot of people talking right now on the internet about how that what we talked about yesterday with Timo in terms of AI, and where are we going with it, and what's it's capable of, and what is the landscape going to look like. I mean, in 10 years from now, it's gonna be pretty wild. And I was just thinking the other day too that like all those people who are just kind of not at the tip of the spear, like all of us on X, I think they're just gonna wake up one day and everything's gonna change, and they're not going to be able to put two and two together because they haven't been participating. So it's going to be interesting to see how all that plays out. But that's my thought of the day. And thank you for having the space. It's so good to see Hoops, Danielle, Timo, Andy, of course, and Justin, and Jason, Dylan, of course, Kevin, Simon, the Job Father, Jodell, Endless, of course. Always wonderful to see Endless and everybody else here, and TVD, Tanu. So just have a great day, and thank you for having the space, Justin, Andy.
Yeah, thank you for checking in, AI John. Always a pleasure to connect with you. I'm glad to hear things are going well with your clients and all the great stuff you're building. I think I got a message from you on LinkedIn I didn't respond to, so my apologies. But yeah, I'm happy to test out anything you need. So I've just been really obsessed with this new corporate gig, and you're really putting in long hours. But it's required in this phase of the business that we're in right now. So it's requiring extra attention, which is why I can only go till 7:45. But yeah, it's going to be temporary. It's like these first 90 days are critical, right? And so we're on a skeleton crew, but the reality is you have to be open to change. You have to be adaptable to change, right? And that's the only certainty is change, right? And if you embrace it, then you'll do well. If you don't, you'll fight an uphill battle. So you just got to embrace it and really become obsessed with your own success, right? Be obsessed with your own success. Look, no one is going to be more obsessed with Timo's success than Timo, right? Yes, I'm rooting for Timo, right? I want him to win. I want all of you guys to win, right? But at the end of the day, you need to become obsessed with your own success, because nobody else is going to do it for you. No one else is going to do the work for you, right? So yeah, great to see everyone down below. Jodell, Avni, Summer. Summer's nickname now is the 360-degree dreamer. That's her brand. The 360-degree dreamer. That's her brand. So as you develop your marketing automation skills, right, you want to build your brand, right? Develop your brand, because you can have the option to sell your brand in the future if you want, right? It's optional.
Or leverage it or license it, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? Robert Kiyosaki doesn't create any games, any materials, anything else. He wrote the books and licenses everything else and makes all his money off of the licensing and real estate.
And I actually met the real Rich Dad in the book. His name's Keith Cunningham. So when I worked at Peak Potentials, quick story, and then we'll go to hoops. So the real rich dad in the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, his name is Keith Cunningham. Google him, okay? So the reference in the book, because he had his poor dad and then he has rich dad, and the rich dad was Keith Cunningham. And I actually met Keith Cunningham, and he spoke on our stages at Peak Potentials training. He speaks on Tony Robbins' stage, right? He's he's done a lot. He's done a lot. Very, very sharp guy. So look him up. And so if you really want to know who the real rich dad is in the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it's Keith Cunningham. Not too many people know that. But as you work in the personal development space, you learn a lot of things about these big authors, speakers, coaches, right? And like T. Harv Eker, for example, when I was the digital marketing strategist for him from 2010 to 2014, I took his online brand from very minimal to over 100,000 fans and all this. This was before paid ads on Facebook, by the way. It was all organic and it was groups. It was community building. That's what I was doing. I was doing community building, right? So just as a refresher, then we'll go to hoops. So there's these 7 C's framework that I teach that you really want to focus on. This is the key to success, this framework. Community, context to that community, communications, content creation, consistency, and conversion, right? That's the formula, the 7 C's formula. You focus on that for 90 days, there's no reason why you won't be successful, right? You'll have subscribers to your email list, you'll have revenue if you have the right offer, right? Like all those things, following that framework will help you reach your goals and outcomes that you're looking for. So let's check in with Hoops. Hoops, how you doing, man?
Hey, morning, man. Here wrestling with a few of these AI programs. But I figured I'd come in and take a break. Man, this thing is driving me nuts. But hey, man, it's passion. I love it. So learning a lot, man. Learning a lot. This early, been up since like 3 a.m. this morning. Didn't even go work out. Just been grinding on this software stuff, this AI stuff, man. But hope everybody's having an awesome morning. I'm tapping in because I was listening to what you were saying about getting people cheering on yourself and not really needing validation from others, right? Because that's so important. When you got to motivate yourselves, because we all know how much disappointment comes at us on a daily basis, and there's so many people who they really don't have any sort of platform to cheer themselves on. And that's so important. And of course, I'm an athlete, so I'll make a reference to sports. Some of you might have heard me speak about this before. We have team huddles, and there's a purpose for those team huddles, because when you get down and you get in that team huddle, those teammates know how to pick you up. You know what I'm saying? Because we're screaming, we're talking shit, we're building up the hype, and all of a sudden you come out of that gloom you were in, that boss who may have fired you or told you that your project was bullshit. You're in an environment like that, in a huddle like that, and you hear those sounds and all those cheers, and all of a sudden, hey, your mindset changed. Now the boss's words don't matter anymore, because you've hit some sort of flow state. Now you can go back and get your project done, and it's over the top, it's above an A plus, because you changed your mindset, because you were around a group of people that were just cheering for you and cheering themselves on. And so I was trying to draw the sports parallel to the office parallel, because well, I guess you guys can get a hand on that, but it's important. And I wonder how many people get up in the daytime and look in the mirror and say, "Yo, I'm the shit. Yo, I'm gonna conquer this world today. I'm getting out here today." Yeah, because last night they might have had a few um, some bad news, and their mood was affected, and they woke up in the morning and started their day thinking about that. Didn't do much to change it, but taking that little time to look in the mirror and telling yourself, who you are, and that you're a capable individual and you're capable of success, and so on and so forth. It does go a long way, and just enough people don't do it. And when I see people struggling, I know that they're not meditating, they're not practicing self love, they're not doing affirmations. These are the things that will change and turn a lot of that around. People just aren't using it enough. But anyway, I'll land there. Appreciate y'all, man.
Yeah, appreciate you, Hoops. Yeah, that's some good inner game inspiration for today. And yeah, like just like in team sports, just like in the office, like you said, like you need to get up that morale, and environment is stronger than willpower, right? We can be really willing to do a lot of things, but when you put yourself in that environment of that energy, because everything is energy, right? So if you put yourself in that environment where other people are pushing you, other people are recognizing your greatness inside of you before you do sometimes, that's an extra energy boost without coffee, right? Like coffee won't do that, but other people will. So, and speaking of team sports, how about those Padres right now? How about those Padres, right? They're on top right now, guys. And I was able to watch my first part of a game in many, many months on, I think it was Friday or Saturday. And, you know, they got the win. And so, yeah, like I used to be really into sports, not so much lately, unfortunately, because business has been consuming my life and family life. So haven't had a lot of time for sports. Even my dad was mentioning, he's like, man, I miss watching games with you, Justin. I'm like, yeah, me too, you know, because we used to watch the games, Padres and football, but I haven't done that in years because I've been focused on business. You know, these are the sacrifices we make, right? Like you're making the sacrifice, whether you know it or not. You're sacrificing something. Each and every one of us is, right? So my question is, what are you sacrificing for your success? Right? What are you sacrificing?
Have you even
So yeah,
have you even chosen what you want to succeed at? Right. So if you don't have a goal, if you don't have, and I'm not sure I really like the word goals. I typically use the word objective. If you don't have an objective, some measurable event that you can see, feel, touch, mark, track, whatever, if you don't have one of those to shoot at, then kind of what are you doing? Right? So if you do have one, okay, fine. Are you still including everything else to get there? Do you think that your life, the way it is, if it's not the way you want it to be, you think adding one thing is the answer? It's typically focusing on one thing, not 100 things, and getting rid of 99 things and just doing the one thing. But the first step is determining what's the one thing. What are you willing to go for? What are you willing to try? What are you willing to work on? What are you willing to set aside everything else to achieve? And my suggestion is not something little like a car or a guitar or a new computer. My my suggestion is you pick some big, hairy, audacious goal, like buying the New York Jets or some crazy thing like that. And then you can create the binoculars, not lenses, not glasses. Glasses will let you see close, but I'm talking about binoculars where you can look tunnel vision so far ahead to find that one thing you're trying to achieve. You want to be NBA champion? You want to make it to the NBA. You want to be state champion, whatever it is, pick some big hairy goal that's going to make you and everyone around you better. That's that to me that's the underlying pulse of how success happens. Everything else is how. Everybody can teach you how. We can teach you what to do and how to do whatever, but I've never met any champion that just said, "Yeah, I just decided to, go to martial arts I showed up a couple of times, I won a couple competitions, and now here I am, world champion." Nobody says that. They say, "Well, I went to a competition, it was exciting, but I got my butt kicked. And then I decided to get better, and then I decided to do that. And then I decided, how could I win the state area? How could I win my thing? How could I even get in the top 10 in the world so I can be invited? Okay, once I get there, oh man, where do I go? What do I do? How does it work?" You don't know till you're there. But if you never have the goal or the dream or the desire or write it down, How are you ever going to get there?
Yeah, outcome based, and yeah, what is that outcome? I'm not big on goals either, Andy. Like, I'm all about the business outcome, the business objective that I'm looking to hit, right? And that was a nice Gary Vee reference with buying the jets. But what's feasible for us, each and every one of us, is buying a boring business, right? So there's a big trend right now, and we've talked about it on AI John and Andy's space with Shannon and Zoo and many others here, is there, and this ties in with marketing automation. You'll love this. So there's a lot of boring businesses out there for sale of baby boomers who are retiring, and their sons or daughters or grandkids, they don't really want to take over the business because it's not sexy, it's not AI, right? It's not high tech, right? But these boring businesses, I'll tell you what they do is they generate cash flow. They generate profits, right? So there's opportunities to analyze those businesses, get a little SBA loan, and start cranking out and modernizing some of these boring businesses with automation. With automation, right? Big opportunity. It's a big opportunity. Does it require a lot of time, effort, money, energy? Of course, that it can be 6 months to a year to do that deal after it's all said and done, right? But the point is, there's an opportunity for you to even consult some of these boring businesses and help bring them into the digital age with AI, with marketing automation. That's a big opportunity there, right? I don't have the opportunity to do it right now, but it's on my radar. It's definitely on my radar. So yeah, let's go to Danielle, and then we'll go to Summer. Danielle, go for it.
Yeah, I was going to say along those lines, somebody great on X to follow, and she's on a lot of platforms, is Cody Sanchez. I think she just came out with that book. I think her book is called Main Street Millionaire, and she's a real proponent of acquiring, mom and pop operations. I think she actually started out with a laundromat or something like that. Just, these things are on the market, and if you can get the cash flow, even through investors and whatnot, and if they are actually like producing, some momentum of money, just get those, sweep them up, because they are proven models, and they just need some, TLC. And to your point, Justin, introduce the AI component to it, and then, what looks boring becomes sexy again. And I just wanted to add too that, we talk about objectives and goals, and we're all calling it something else. I just say I chase a vision, right? I don't, and I'm totally against plans, so I'll never use that word when I coach people. I say I believe in planning, but I don't believe in necessarily the plan, because life is busy while we're, is what happens while we're busy making plans, and or no, life is what happens while we're busy making other plans. That that John Lennon song. And that's how the whole Unscripted Pivots brand started, because I'm always going like, WTF, that's not what was supposed to happen. And then today I embrace that, and I teach that, and I endorse that, right? So you got to have a vision, you got to have an objective, but at the end of the day, how we get there, just pivot with possibility.
Pivot with possibility, man. Danielle, woo, man, I just love these one-liners, man. Oh my god.
And you can use any possibility to hire a VA from Virtual Synergies, $9 an hour from the Philippines, and they can help you out with all of that planning that Danielle just talked about.
Nicely done. Nicely done for you. Okay.
This is good. Good stuff, guys. Yeah, let's check in with Summer, and thanks guys for tuning in. Please like and repost the space. We're going to go for 15 more minutes. So if you have any questions around sales and marketing mastery, you have any tactical questions, strategic questions, please let me know. Please let Andy know we're here for you. We want to support you. We want you to win. These are mini MBA master classes, right? That's what they are. The topic just happens to be marketing automation, but various topics are on the table as always. But yeah, Summer, how are you?
Good morning, Justin, Andy, Timo, Kevin, Danielle, everyone in the space, Hoops, AI John, Giancarlos. Thank you for having me. Today is not a great day because I didn't feel good during the night. So I actually just woke up. I just lost half the day, basically, because I had to stay in bed. It's really not great, but sometimes we have one of these days. So it happens. It happens. But I wouldn't miss the best space of the startup circle. I don't miss this ritual. And this is one of the things that I love. You know, I don't like to be obliged to do anything, but I do love those little routines that we have. Those are the things that, you know, makes us be a little bit more grounded, and we have this community. And I just wouldn't imagine myself now just not coming here. I would have to be really, really, really bad not to come here today. But I just wanted to Timo, I wouldn't scream at you, and then again, maybe I would if you would take any longer. I just wanted to touch on the subject of the goals and the objectives. And I love the word that Danielle used, vision. And I actually used the dream, not because of your branding, Justin, but the dream is really what moves people. You know, if we didn't have the dream to go to the moon, if we didn't have a dream to go under the ocean, we wouldn't go, because we need that thing that touches our hearts, that is beyond ourselves, and is much more than a plan, than anything that is in our brain that we can conceive. We do use the plans, we do use our brain to get the little details or the bigger details, but in the end, it's all about a dream. It's all about reaching for something higher and beyond ourselves, and that's what makes us move more. I'm just here now today, just hanging on this day and see if it gets better. But I just wanted to say a few words, and thank you for your words as well. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, happy to have you, Summer, as always. I hope you feel better, and thanks for your dedication and continuing to show up. Then we're gonna go right to Kevin. Yeah, I see you, brother. But yeah, Summer, thanks so much. And yeah, look, sometimes we. Oh, go ahead, Timo.
No, I was just trying to. It's again the phone is being stupid, so go to Kevin.
Okay, yeah, go for it, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you, Justin. So I've been working in the background, so I was only just able to join in, but I like the conversation that we're having. Yesterday, I actually asked a question, Justin, about automating, a lot of DMs and what the proper approach would be to mass automate those DMs to be able to get signups, to be able to pitch my offer. And I actually was experimenting around with this yesterday, and I even made a post about this. If you want, I can share this in the Jumbotron as well. But I ended up automating over 173 DMs yesterday, and we were talking about the personalization aspect of it because you we understand that a lot of the times automated messages they just get ignored. A lot of the time, it's not personal. It feels kind of lazy. And the way I kind of positioned myself, where I was able to mass automate, but also still have that human element, was based off the amount of responses I was getting. So out of the 173 DMs I actually did send out, 93 of them, so over half of these guys actually ended up responding. And then that led more into me being able to give more of my services, being more genuine, sending out offers, having that human element to then having closed 11 bookings throughout the week, and then also being able to generate some of those into mass leads as well. So I'm very glad that I was able to ask this question because with your support and your revenue Ronin, with your videos and your master classes and spaces, I was able to really turn those into mass sales as well. Maybe I wouldn't go to that level of scale because having to respond to 93 was a little bit hectic, but it was a nice experimental stage at the end of the day. So, yeah, I appreciate you guys so much. I'll probably just be in the space, chilling out for the rest of it. So, yeah, that's it. Doing a bit
Yeah,
of a
good
running,
feedback,
so
Kevin. Thank you.
yeah, a
Yeah,
little out of breath.
great feedback, brother. Awesome, man. Yeah, that's awesome feedback. And yeah, I mean, marketing is all testing and experimenting. And so, look, you got to test it out, right? Marketing is all testing, and so you're going to find things that work, and then things that don't work, and then you just pivot and adapt. And so, yeah, I love the action taking, right, that Kevin did, right? You got to take not just action, massive action, and anything can work. Again, we're coming full circle. Anything can work if you give it enough time and dedication and energy and focus, right? Whether it's deep cold DMs or direct mail, it doesn't matter, right? It's just, you gotta give it some time to marinate, right? And then reap the rewards. But yeah, I want to circle back to what Summer was mentioning. So I appreciate 80% of success is just showing up, right? And the fact that we keep showing up daily that's 80% of it, and the other 20% is execution. So, and if you haven't read Malcolm Gladwell's book, The 10,000 Hour Rule, like, definitely encourage you to check that out, because really and this is why we call the space Sales and Marketing Mastery, right? Because it's a constant journey towards mastery. It doesn't stop, right? It doesn't stop. You're constantly learning, doing, growing, adapting, pivoting, executing, right? It's a constant journey. It's about the journey and the destination. It's about both. And the fact that we're all on this journey together, right? Building friendships, building relationships, building businesses, building our bodies, building our brands. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. So appreciate you. And this is literally, and Summer hinted on this, but it's like, this is like a vocation for me. A vocation is like a religion, right? Like, this is my religion. Like, on top of my other religion, right? Like, this is my dedication towards the craft, towards mastery. And there's no better model than Elon Musk. I mean, gosh, the guy does not give up, right? No matter what, right? We don't give up. There's no giving up here, right? You adapt and you change and you just keep moving forward.
All right, we
So,
got
yeah,
we
go
got
for it,
6
Andy.
minutes left. Let's go to hands.
Okay, go to Timo and then Torsu.
All right, so you can get Andy booked as a co-host from his website. It's not $9 an hour like our sponsor, but it's
You can send me
probably
an
closer
invite if you
around.
want.
It's probably around $1.50 just to get like 1,500 to get him a co-host. But yeah, we offer that too as the Startup Circle members. But yeah, let's go to the topic. For Kevin, I was actually watching some content around automating cold emails and DMs and whatnot, and the personalization, especially if you're using LinkedIn or even X, if people post up their organizations with make.com, for example, probably possible to do with all the rest of the automation tools now too, but you can actually like build a phase into the automation workflow where you input a deep search for that person, and it just basically goes through the organization where they work, and then just add some personalization into that DM that it then is pushed onwards, and it can kind of like pre-prompt the how to do, what to search for, what to look for, and whatnot. So that is now also possible, but you found success with less complicated things, so just run with it as long as it works, right? So don't break it if it's still working. And we all got to remember, as we automate more and more and accelerate everything, time slows down, like in actual physics. If you move fast, time slows down. So you got to remember that you have to occasionally stop, look what's happening, analyze, recalibrate, and then relaunch again. So never forget to do that when you automate, because you don't want to have your automation push 1,000 DMs to people with broken script that looks just idiotic. So yeah, always keep on monitoring that too.
Yeah, pro tip there from Timo, always test your links before you launch your campaigns. Okay, guys? This is a pro tip. Make sure you always test your links. Okay, I can't tell you how many times people have, launched campaigns and they have a broken link, so, and then, so information is not the same as intelligence, two different things, right? So make sure you're prioritizing intelligence versus information, right? How do you extract that? What are the patterns? What are the correlations in the data? That's what you want to look for. So let's go to Torsum for like 1 minute, and then we're going to close off.
No, I was just loving the conversation, gentlemen. Have a wonderful day. I think the work you're doing, I can see incredible progress within the community.
Andy, can you mute out? Andy, can you mute out?
Sorry.
Okay, go ahead, Torsum. Go.
Yeah. First of all, blessings of the creation be upon us all. I see incredible people from when I first started coming to your space a long time back, and it was the earlier weeks. And I think we are continuing our progress through this, course of time. And there's incredible things going on, positive and negative. But we always have to center ourselves in the flow of life, right? And I just could hear incredibly speak on Mr. Kevin and Mr. Timo, and there's endless there. There's incredible people in this room, and guys, time brings us together. I promise you. If I have to say something to you, if I've ever upset somebody, I'm really sorry for it, because I promise you, every fractal we go out there in the world, right? It has to be positive, right? Because it's a beautiful universe. It really is. And from everything I've seen, I want you guys to remember that we are playing a very important role in time. Whether we get to that school of thought or not, I want to put it out there. And the reality is that we all come together in that sequence of time. And how time moves for us is always different, right? You can have a year where you're just gonna love it and it's gonna take forever that year with that beautiful person in the world. And at the same time, you can just go through time like, oh my gosh, where did this day go? But I love what I did, right? and and it's a reflection every day we have to take of ourselves and where we're going every day, because every day we get our life back when we go to sleep, when we wake up. And the reality is that we can't control time. Plato, I mean, it goes back to simple things. So let's keep it simple. Let's make this a positive spectrum. And I'm going to share two notes from history, Audrey, and I'm going to share Charlie Chaplin. And there's some visual arts in there, and they just speak a story of time. And it's one of the most incredible stories, because I see politically what's happening with some sort of renaissance of life history. We're going back, to ancient histories, and we're also going back to where we are in flow of life. We are a generation which goes back to time.
Hey,
So
Torsum, we're gonna
we have
have
to set
to
a good example.
go back to Justin. He's got to
Yes,
leave in 1
thank you
minute.
so
So
much,
let's get
sir.
him close
And I
off.
look
Thanks.
forward to some positive spectrum energy with a positive flow on all spectrums: visual, sound, code, the right infrastructure for communities, making a positive energy flow on the ground in reality, and talking about it tomorrow, and leaving those footprints for time. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Torsum. Yeah, come back tomorrow, man. We do these daily, and thank you, Andy, for my timekeeper here, because I got to get back to the corporate stuff here. So thank you guys for holding me accountable. So guys, great space again. We'll see you guys tomorrow. At the end of our lives, we'll ask ourselves 4 simple questions. Did I live? Did I love? Did I matter? And did I make a difference? Until next time, keep making a difference. Build that mind, build that body, build that business, build that bank account, but most importantly, build that legacy. So stay hungry and stay humble. We'll see you guys at the top. If you want to keep growing, you better call the Revenue Ronin. Much love.
Crystal Space is on the Jumbotron, so check it out. It's starting in 1 hour and 50 minutes.
Yep. In an hour and 10 minutes.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Much love. Have a productive and profitable day. Keep it going. Peace.